sitting in the second longest wall in India.
2, 1, take.
Hello and welcome to this issue of Point Counterpoint. The tourist season has started. The tourists are coming in. We have a new airport in Goa which is going to be fully functional and operational from the 5th of January. And in this whole ecosystem, we seem to have gone back to the recurring controversy or discussion that plagues Goa all the time. The issue here is that we have as a state, and we're not blaming any particular section or anybody else, but our state and our system has failed to introduce a responsible and tourist friendly taxi system which has developed a killer blow to Goa tourism. When we say failure, we do not necessarily mean that the taxi lobby has failed. We are not even saying that any other lobby has failed. We as a state have collectively failed to address the concerns of all so that we have a proper, robust, friendly system which benefits both the tourists as well as the locals. This problem or these skirmishes, these controversies, there are issues on both sides which has been going on for such a long time that there seems to be no resolution in sight. And I would say it will be unfair only to blame the taxi lobby, but though the taxi associations, both the black and white and the tourist taxis, have a lot of questions to answer. We also need to understand their point of view. But at the same time, let us also accept one basic point, that there cannot be so many unhappy people if the system is right. There cannot be so many tourists who are unhappy if the system is right. Goa is known as a place where there are absolutely no rules and regulations with regard to taxi fares, the system of operations and so on and so forth. There has been a lot of resentment, and we're not saying that resentment is wrong or right, because we have friends from the taxi associations who will tell us what the reasons for their objection is. We will get to that. But the point here is that we are a state in Goa, which is probably the only state in the entire country and probably one of the few places in the world which calls itself an international tourist destination, which does not even have a taxi system which is regulated and which is based on the choice of the tourist or the commuter, rather than being hostage to the whims of controversies and the issues or the degree of self-importance that is being displayed by the taxi association and the taxi lobby. This is a charge. This is not my charge or the organization's charge. This is a charge that people who use taxis feel. What I'm very, very happy about, and I must thank everybody else, including Mr. Naik, is that we need more occasions like this where we sit across the table and talk. We need to have conversations, not confrontations. Let us hear both sides. But ultimately, let everybody understand that we have to have a solution to this for the interests of Goa. Otherwise, if the golden goose is killed, then nobody benefits. The taxi people do not benefit, the tour operators do not benefit, the cruise operators do not benefit. And before I introduce our esteemed panel, I would also like to share what was the trigger for this discussion, though this discussion can happen any time till the issue is finally solved. The trigger was that last week we had a very ugly incident at the Murmuga Ports Authority, as it's now called, where tourists, about 80 odd tourists who were getting off the cruise to do a day excursion in Goa, they were stopped. They were not allowed to get onto their buses. Allegedly, one of the bus operators was hit, and the tourist taxi people said we were not informed. The whole thing blew up into a very ugly fracas, giving Goa a bad name. Then we had a situation where the Mopa airport is about to start. The Mopa airport operations are supposed to start, and there is no system yet as to who is going to be registered, who is going to operate from there. The app system is developed, but nobody has got onto the app. Taxi drivers have completely refused. So we are again in a situation where it is completely chaotic. Now the point is, you have to get back to the system because the system runs the state, and if there's a failure, you have to get back to the system. Anyway, there's lots more to be discussed, on these points and much more. and I introduce my esteemed panel of very good professionals and stakeholders in the system. I start with Sanjeev Sardesai. He's a heritage promoter, hands-on historian, but somebody who's been in the tourism and travel ecosystem for an extremely long time to know what's really going on and what needs to be done. Welcome. Thank you. And next to him is Orlando Nunes. He's the GM operations of Trailblazers and Tours. Again, one of the very important stakeholders of the whole tourism, cruises business, which is so important to our system here. Lyndon Lavels is a very senior tourism professional, hardly needs any introduction, been around for a very, very long time, a veteran in this whole tourism, charter, events space. And of course, and he has been in several committees and boards and worked closely also with the government, and he'll obviously have a thing or two to add to this whole conversation. Next to him, and very welcome, Sunil Naik, ex-president of the Yellow and Black Taxi Association. He's right now a member of the association in the TV station.
Karmali.
Sorry, Karmali station. My apologies. Karmali station. So the point here is, okay, again, Sunil, a very warm welcome, and we are very glad that you've come in here, because we must appreciate the role played by the Yellow and Black taxis in Goa's thing for a long time, because while we have the tourist taxis there, the Yellow and Black taxis play a very, very important part, both taking tourists as well as locals, and their role here is also very important, and one would like to hear them as well on many of these issues. I'll start with Sanjeev. I've spoken a bit much. I have no further questions to ask you. If you can just start with you responding and touching a little bit about the recent incidents that have happened.
Well, like you said, Mr. Gupta, that Goa has got a name tag or identification tag that it's a destination for all types of tourists, domestic as well as international, I'll put it that way. But there is something that I must say and state over here, that I have been in this industry since 1981. Somewhere in 1995, the feeling that I got, which still continues with me today, is that there is no tourism in Goa. Now, this I say not because of any other reason, is because we didn't have a policy even after 40 years of our liberation. What snowballed as an industry to watch those tourists and coming here who are called as flower children or hippies, it has grown into a money-making industry for all of us. But I think over a period of time, this small type of skirmishes that are happening, and what happened at MPT is not new. I have had personally this same thing at the airport in the year 1987.
Right.
And I think what had to be nipped in the bud then by the administration, by the industry, and by logical talking with people, not by using force, it didn't happen. And we have not lost time, but I think if this type of incidents carry, then like you have rightly put it, we will be killing the golden goose, which lays the golden eggs.
Orlando, tell me, without getting into a blame game, let us ask you one straight question. That if we do not have a proper public transportation system, which includes taxis, can you carry out your business? And how is it suffering?
See, basically, taxis are a part of tourism as well.
100%, yes.
Everywhere in the world they are there.
Correct.
We have two sets of taxis, the yellow, black and the white taxis. They have mushroomed up a lot, but there's never been a system online. They are posted at every hotel gates, airports, and other tourism destinations. But what happens is, there is no system in place, like they don't have fixed rates. They're not printed rates at any of the outlets that they are handling on. And they cause nuisance to us, operators who bring the business into the state or the country. And we cannot freely give service to the tourists that we promise. Our obligation to them is to have conductor tours, guided tours, be it cruise liners or be it charters. And they obstruct, saying that, oh, these people come and stay in our hotels, you have no right to take them out. We have the right to take them out. This has been going on for long, as he said that it's been on. I've been in this industry since '94, and it's going on. The government has not come with a certain policy, or even if they come with it, they don't follow. So somewhere down the line, there has to be either strict implementation or a law or a rule saying that follow the system, everybody benefits.
Lyndon, I'll get you in here. Lyndon, one, of course, you could respond to all of us. One thing I'd like to specifically ask you is that what is surprising is that this issue is dragging on for the last 10 years, 12 years, 15 years, where there has to be a colossal failure of the system to allow this to carry on for such a long time. My question to you, apart from whatever else you would like to respond to, is that how are we allowing the the failure to solve this for 12 years? Because no system can tolerate the failure to solve something as basic as this for 12 years if you call yourself a tourist destination.
Sujay, it's not 12 years. In 1992, I used to manage 3 or 4 flights a week from Scandinavia. I think Orlando was part of that whole movement.
Right.
And from that time, we've had this problem. So that's 1992. It's 30 years. We had a problem because we had Scandinavian tourists who needed guides. And they had to be in coaches because we couldn't put one guide per taxi because the guides came from abroad. The problem I see where it lies is, although the government as a whole wants a solution, within the government, they are divided. So there's no proper directionalization of the system. Today it's become such a big problem that, we are not looking at the consequential problems of the taxi problem. If you go up north or you go to Goa, look at the traffic problems. It's because people know Goa doesn't have affordable taxis, so they drive down, they don't know roads, they crowd our roads with traffic.
Correct.
They are hiring renter cars by the hundreds, renter bikes by the hundreds, driving after alcohol. You go for
And everybody is looking at Google Maps and moving.
Yes.
Yeah, you go for a birthday party and you're leaving at 11 o'clock after 4 drinks. Can you call a taxi? You can't. You have to drive your own car. So how do you find a solution without the government having a very well-focused, coordinated effort? Because if we look back at the past, every MLA has his own little
Jurisdictions.
bearings in the whole situation.
Right.
So there's been no joint solution to this. But if the government actually puts their heads together to this, I don't think there's a problem in solving it.
See, Sunil Bab, I'll come back to you later. See, my question to you is, there are two views, and we'll respectfully take your view also, it's very important. Is that ultimately in any tourism place, the taxi system, they are seen as partners, ambassadors, service providers. That is what they're expected to do and they're doing. In Goa, there seems to be the feeling amongst people who consume taxis or who you need taxis, I mean customers and guests and tourists. They feel that you all, rather than being service providers, this is the impression, I'm not making a charge,
Yes.
I just want your point of view, that rather than being service providers, it is all about your employment, which is not wrong. I mean, it is not wrong to expect employment, but ultimately your benefits, your employment, and the fact that it has to be either your way or the highway. Because of which, the feeling is that because of which, any effort that has been made to streamline the taxi system, like have fixed rates, have app-based taxis, that has not worked because you all have been adamant in doing it your way. Point number one. Point number two, also, the feeling is that because there are politicians who need their votes and vote banks, and you all are a very important part of the vote bank because you are local people, you are following among the communities, you can control votes. The thing is, politicians are also inclined to look at your way and not the way which is necessarily good for the whole of Goa. This is again the impression. This is not a charge. I'm not saying this is true, but I would like you to respond to this.
So see, first of all, I say that we have got a yellow black taxi counter at Karmali railway station.
Yes,
And
yes.
all the rates are fixed there.
Right.
The board is there.
Right.
The rates are written where you want to go.
Right.
All the rates according kilometer. we
And
have
you
got,
follow that completely.
Night charge is also written there. Day charge is also written there.
Right.
So everything board is there. So
Right.
customers come where you want to go. He sees. Alphabetically it is written. If you want to go to airport, 1060 rupees. We
Right.
charge 1060. He goes.
Right.
We have got a system there.
Right.
Whereas tourist vehicle, I don't know. I can't speak on the tourist vehicle.
Right.
Actually, we have got all the railway station, bus stand also we have got. All yellow black taxis are following this rule.
Right.
And the rates are given by government only.
Right.
So I rather think that government should bring all together, all the stakeholders and speak, which
Right.
is not coming only.
Right.
I think 4 or 5 times CM said that
Right.
he will call or he will call, but till date nobody has called us.
But tell me, as far as the rates are concerned, so y'all are saying at least in the yellow-black system, there is no issue at all.
No.
Every time you need a yellow-black taxi, you can go to the station. But my point is, suppose everybody is not at a station.
Yes, sir.
Okay, suppose I want to call a cab in from my village in say Kurturi, and I want a yellow and black taxi to come. I don't have the luxury to do that. My point is, I will get a yellow and black taxi from the station to my hotel or from the airport to my hotel. But my issue is that suppose I want a yellow black taxi from say Kalangud to Baga or Kalangud to Arambol. My point is, where will I get that service from?
No, you are while taking a taxi from the station, you take a counter number, sir. You call him, he will come and pick you up.
A counter number.
Yeah, we have got counter. Otherwise, the driver who drops you, he will give you the cell number.
No, but how many counters do you have across?
At Karmali station, we have got one. All the stations, we have got a counter.
No,
Even
suppose
bus stand also, we have
suppose
got
I'm
one.
staying in a hotel in say Asagaon.
Yeah,
Okay, and I want a taxi to take me from Asagaon to a restaurant in Morjim.
yeah.
Yellow black can't pick you.
Yeah,
Yellow
no.
black cannot pick
No,
you,
sir,
right?
because
Right.
we have got point-to-point service, sir.
That's
Yes.
what
At
I'm saying.
Asagaon,
And the white
you will
tourist
get a
taxis don't
tourist
allow the
taxi
yellow
there.
black.
That's correct.
Which he will take
The
you.
white taxi drivers don't allow the yellow black.
If
to come
I
to the
Correct.
hotel.
if I may
Sure. Yeah,
interject
yeah,
in this,
Yeah,
please
but
correct.
ours is point-to-point service, sir. We'll drop you, come back.
Correct.
Because their taxis are also there. So
Right.
they will do the business. They will speak to you. They will take you, sir.
Yes. What I would like to add on to what Sunil Babu has said, the yellow-black permit rules and the tourist taxi permit are different. They are carriage vehicles.
right.
It is from point to point, or they can share the cab and they can take it, which the tourist taxi cannot do. They have got a stand which is notified.
Right.
The tourist taxis are not supposed to have a stand
Right.
because, to my knowledge, and I stand to be corrected. This system was started way back, not as a separate tourist taxi vehicle service,
Right.
but as a point of employment for those people who wanted to get employed.
You're
over
talking about the
here.
yellow black.
White.
The white guys.
tourist taxis.
Yes, yes.
And the option was there with the tourist taxi that if you would like to upgrade, please do upgrade.
Right, right.
But the permit rules were different. Now, somewhere down the line, this concept of employment generation went haywire. And today, if we look at the system, again, I can very well say that this is a fact at most of the places. Our rules are the best anywhere else. The enforcement and implementation of those particular rules is not okay, because I find it very funny that there is a system that has been put by an administration. I'm not saying government,
Right.
because the word government for me, it's like a comedy, because in Goa state, we have got the highest per capita politicians, and they don't allow you to work. Let me make it very straight, and I'm quite frank on this particular thing. There is interference at everything. Today, when you say that the vehicle when you are given has to be at your house and you have signed for it,
Right.
nobody has held you by your hand and taken you there and made you sign. You have accepted all the conditions, but every condition, there are 21 conditions now. Earlier there were 19 conditions, there are 21 conditions. The very first conditions has been violated to such an extent that today the administration has got the options to cancel their licenses,
Right. Right.
which is not being enforced. So if somebody has to learn a lesson, I know it is a very harsh thing, but you have signed for the law, you have broken it, now you sit at home for 6 months.
So what is the specific violation that they do?
The specific violation is very simple. They have signed saying that they see there is the first.
You're talking about the tourist
undertaking-
taxis.
The tourist taxis.
Yes.
Well, black and yellow taxis, there is
No
absolute,
problem.
they are
No
they are
problem.
perfect.
They
They
were
have got their
organized.
own systems and they are very. Now the issue here is about the tourist taxis, and the tourist taxis here. The first rule says that the option of selection of any type of transportation by a tourist is his, not the tourist taxis.
Right.
So today when somebody stops and says, and my colleagues here will all agree that we have all read about this in the 90s and beginning of 2000.
Right.
that in the south the tourist taxis threatened the hotel industry, telling them that on Monday, Wednesday, Friday they must take tourist taxis, and the other days they can operate. It is just like the people in the south, the bakers would say you have to eat bread on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and rest of the days you can eat chapati. See, if the rules have been already signed by me for
These
a
are what
travel,
rules are you talking of?
the Motor Vehicle Act.
MV Act, okay. Yeah.
Every MV Act, Tourist Taxi
permit
Act,
conditions are given.
permit conditions are given,
Right.
and you have been given a taxi to follow those permit conditions. So the laws are very clear. The enforcement from the enforcement department, and I'm making a charge here of the RTO.
Right.
They are the licensing authority. They are the registering authority. Now, in this entire episode that happened over there,
Right.
you hear the tourist taxi, voice of the tourist taxi. We hear the voice of the travel agents. We hear the voice of the police, and we hear the voice of the Embassy of America. Has anybody heard anything about the RTO, which is the registering authority? No. They are in Konkani, if I may use the word. In Konkani, we have got a beautiful heritage. For me, heritage is very close. And we have got sayings, oparis. Ben baru utkanran kashti suki. Means what? That you are the actual culprit, but you are there in the water, but your loincloth is very dry. This is the problem. We have got a very, very ineffective RTO. Let us be very frank on that. And the very
So what
people,
is the, according to you, what is the ineffectiveness?
ineffectiveness to enforce.
Right.
If the violation of the first clause itself has been done, and it has been shown by the media and put on record by the government and taken cognizance by the embassies, it was their duty to enforce
action.
that particular, take action,
Take action.
suspend those particular things, see who are the people who has got the right to hit a
Another
taxi driver.
person.
And secondly, the police, especially in that MPT case, it was very shocking for me that the police are making a statement that the tourist taxis were not taken in confidence.
Right.
Why should a travel agent take anybody
Inform a
in
union or
confidence?
anybody for
Why?
RTO?
For what? He has a business to run. He makes the arrangements. He caters to his clients. He is not going to go telling all around the place. Now they have come up with that counter thing. If this counter system was there earlier, then the problem would not
Alan, tell
happen.
me, just for the benefit of viewers,
Yes.
when you are getting a charter in or a
Yeah,
cruise in,
line, yeah.
obviously there are people who pre-book excursions on land.
Yes.
Okay. Now the issue is, where is the choice between taking a bus or a taxi come in? I'm just trying to understand that, does the tourist decide whether he or she will go on a bus or would prefer to do a private taxi tour? I mean, is that choice given to them?
See, what happens is basically how cruise business starts into Goa is that one office from the head office goes abroad, either to Europe or to US, where the main cruise offices are.
Right.
Gives them an itinerary of saying promote India, not just Goa, promote India. Why don't you include India into your itinerary of the Indian Ocean? Then we invite them here. We take them to all places like Delhi, Agra, which is the overland tours. Porbandar is the first port. Then comes Mumbai. Then comes Goa. Now New Mangalore, which has just started. Cochin, and sometimes they end up at Andamans. When they see all these things, we give them everything free of cost. Accommodation, taxi operators who operate it free for us.
Where
We
is
do
this?
everything.
In other places?
No, for the agents when they come
Agents,
down.
yeah, okay.
Then they go back and they say, okay, India has the potential. And they put it in the itinerary. Now, when a person goes on cruise, when they're booking it, it's either paid for or they have a choice to choose.
Right.
So basically, say a cruise capacity of say 1,000 people, if the cruise capacity is 1,000, they normally take average at 75% would go on organized tours.
Right.
20% would stay on board or not decide to go. Based on that, 1 year prior or 6 months prior, they tell us you need to block this many coaches. Now we
So all this is pre-decided by over a year.
Over
right?
a year.
Right.
It's all planned.
Right.
There's nothing that happened last minute.
Right.
So as the days approach, you get the final trimming down of how many people will actually go. But you have to start. We have to start blocking coaches, guides, venues where they have lunch, or a hotel where they go for a beach tour, or plantation. Everything is organized. A boat trip for crocodiles, kayaking. We do various operations, even waterfalls. So all this is very planned and put in place. Now, the taxi drivers feel that we bring our buses, park, people get on the buses and they go. No, it's an organized, full organization. Now, when they say that 75% will go on the tour, you can also increase. because people see the potential of what about India is,
Right,
and they go.
right.
So there is also turnarounds.
Right.
So we basically organize these things well in advance,
Right.
but we don't do it at last minute. And they say, like we were told when we had the meeting for the first cruise that came in, oh, you don't bring that many buses, you just bring few. It doesn't work that way. If the ship asks us 30 buses, we can't turn around and say, oh, we have only 10 in Goa. The cruise will not call.
Right.
They'll
right.
go to Cochin, which is waiting to take over all of Goa's business.
Correct.
That's the way it works.
But sir, does they ask you for a taxi also in sometimes?
See, we've had this question where we've asked the taxi driver. They do ask.
Yes.
A lot of people do ask, is there option of tourist taxis? As you've seen over the years, the union is never organized. We've asked them for printed rates. They never give us.
The tourist taxis.
The tourist
Yeah,
taxis.
we are waiting
when
for the tourist
clients
taxi
go out.
person to
When the
come.
clients go
Right.
out, some of them do venture out. And the crew, you have, if it's 1,000 capacity, you have around 500 crew.
Right.
They go out.
Right.
They take taxi. They don't go on organized buses.
Right.
They don't go with the clients.
Right.
They don't have a rate. Now, if we take a rate, now the clients walk out to the gate. This is a very, it's a bad scene if you go see it. They walk to the gate, a client will approach them, they just get out the clients.
Right.
Around 10 taxi drivers will get out the client and says, oh, where you want to go? Say the client wants to go to Old Goa and Panjim. $100, one guy will scream. Somewhere down the line from behind, I'll do it for 80. Another will come and say, I'll do it for 60. Come on. Is it bargaining? That means you are yourself showing that you're unorganized.
Right.
So if you all had a fixed rate, which was promised by, I'm sorry to say that Mr. Amonkar, the MLA now, he said you will have a printed rate on the 16th of November when we had our first cruise line, that's
Right.
Viking Mars.
Right. Right.
Till they don't have any rate in place.
So we had a meeting with him also.
Yes,
before that.
we did.
Yeah, just to ask a question, you mentioned that about them saying that it is $100, $80, $50. Are they authorized to accept dollars?
No.
That's another question.
It's against the law.
I'll get to. Okay.
That's-
Little.
They convert it.
Yeah. We'll get into more specific questions on tourist taxis when the representative comes. But it'll be more meaningful that time because we can get a direct response that time. But Lyndon, a little bit of what Olan was saying. We can just dwell a little bit on how. First, we spoke about the length of the impasse which has happened. Secondly, the point here is that if this solution is not reached at a specific point of time, and you travel the world and you know the ecosystem in India as well, how serious is the danger of tourists actually giving up Goa as a destination because we've not been able to solve the tax issue?
It's not a question of them going to give up as a destination. It's known in a lot of places that transport in Goa is not
It's not there.
Is not
Let's-
there.
Let's put it this way.
People know there's no proper public bus transport
Yes.
after 8 o'clock in the evening.
Yes.
The quality of public transport is unusable by international tourists.
Right.
You go anywhere in Europe, you wear a seat belt, even in a coach. I go to Mykonos in Greece. I go to Ibiza in Spain regularly. You have taxi issues there as well. You have no Ubers in Mykonos. You have no Ubers in Spain. But you have a system in place. Here you have, because we've always been inculcated in us divide and rule. Because we've had the divide and rule policy here. Look at our taxis. You have a problem between the yellow taxis and the tourist taxis. You have a problem with the tourist taxis between north and south. You have a problem between them from Kavelosim to Majorda. So when they see that from the top it's rotten, it's going to rot at the fish heads from the rots from the head.
Right.
And unless we have a system where the MLAs and the tax, we want to help everyone. We want the taxi drivers to do well. All of us are part of the ecosystem. If we're all happy, our tourists are going to be happy. But when you see that there's no when there's indecisiveness, it spreads all over and it's a jumble, it's a mess. I've been sitting for these meetings since 1992 when I was part of tourism, charter tourism, TTAG, so on and so forth. But you have one MLA saying something, you have another one saying. I think everyone knows that, and they've been all contradictory. And because people don't have a proper leader to follow, they've been making their own rules, and it's become a complete mess right now. And I don't blame the taxi drivers.
Okay, a quick one question before I come to Srila again. I just want to bring in the new Mopa airport into this discussion because that's so important to what we are discussing, because we have an opportunity to showcase Goa. It was just inaugurated by the Prime Minister himself.
Yeah.
the thing that we did, the story that we did recently also, is that when the first plane lands, landing is confirmed, but there's no confirmation on who's going to take the passenger home or to his hotel. The thing is that with you had, and Mopa has been in the making for a decade or more. You had, when you had 10 years to work this system out, should we be waiting for the last 10 days to figure out who is going to be registered as, as taxis in Mopa, whether they are going to join the app or not, when will the app actually be ready or not? Does the government need to get into the business of taxis at all and do the app or not?
It's honestly a joke. And if you
So,
ask me,
if you could just touch on all these points.
if you ask me, it's a joke. And when Mopa starts, I don't know who's the MLA in Mopa, but he'll have his favorites. You'll have Mopa taxis. You will not have others allowed to come to their airport. It's going to be a jumble because we are making statements without any follow-up to please people for that one meeting or one day that we have a meeting with the drivers, and then it's forgotten. Right now, Mohan Gudino has been the savior for tourism and trying to help with this whole thing, but nothing is falling in place. And Mopa, if we start off on a bad note, it's going to be very bad publicity for Goa. For sure.
Shilpa, as far as the Mopa airport is concerned, as a senior member of the Black and Yellow thing, what is the solution that you can provide, at least on behalf of your association? What can the Black and Yellow taxis do so that at least you save Goa's face and you are there to take charge?
See, sir, the government have already started, this airport already started, but
Yes.
they have not, whose taxi will come there. This is not decided.
So
as
are you
after
saying
10
no
years.
conversation has happened with you all even once?
No. Nothing.
So all these
Now,
years,
today only I saw some advertisement by Goa Tourism that they have asked for the tourist taxis permit, RC book and all. GTDC.
from the tourist taxis?
Yeah,
Okay.
GTDC. They have to submit their application online or something.
Okay, fine.
I want today 21st yesterday, but before that also they have given the same thing. Then they withdraw that because you can't keep a taxi counter, tourist taxi counter at the airport.
You cannot?
No. Yeah, at Vasco Airport also tourist counter is not there.
Right.
All are yellow black. First I think there were 250 taxis yellow black,
Right.
and 150 taxis was tourist.
So correct me if I'm wrong. They are functioning doubly without a counter. They're just on the roads and doing.
They're on the-
yeah.
That is-
they are called hikers.
Okay.
Yeah.
Encouraging touting.
Right.
Absolutely.
Touting, yeah.
That is
Touting.
what is one of
So
the
what
permit conditions.
what you're saying is their presence in the double airport is completely unregulated.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So
There is a yellow black taxi counter there which is very well operating.
Right.
Very
Yes.
organized.
So what you are essentially saying is, as far as Mopa is concerned, just to make it clear to viewers, what you are essentially saying is that the only system which is working in Daboli currently, a regular system, that system has not even been thought of or envisaged, or no conversations have happened to have it in Mopa, in the absence of apps, in the absence of regulated tourist taxis. No conversation has happened with the Black and Yellow taxi organizations at any level.
No.
That's what you're saying.
Yeah. I think only one spoke, I think Honorable Transport Minister spoke with the United Taximen, that is at airport. He
Okay.
has not spoke to us.
United Taximen meaning?
There's a union there at Vasco Airport.
Of Black and Yellow.
Yellow black taxis.
Sorry, Black and Yellow.
So
yeah,
the
yeah.
MLA is also from there and local people are also, they go to them.
Right.
But I think before starting the airport, the yellow black taxi counter should be at the airport.
So, but if the yellow black taxi counters at the airport, you're more than willing to, the taxis will be there, you all will be there ready to take
Yeah, there are
passengers.
people, sir.
Yes.
There are many land losers are there, sir.
Right.
How the Konkan Railway given the jobs for land losers.
That's
So
right.
they should give them. If you want a big car, you want a Toyota, you see,
Right.
Crista you want,
Right.
Artiga you want, they will buy.
Okay.
Because they will get a lifetime
So
business.
you are saying
there.
that even under the black and yellow and black ecosystem, you can have high-end cars as well.
Yeah.
There's no
Yes.
problem with
The
that.
only thing, color has to be black and
Black-
yellow.
yeah,
and you have
yeah.
to follow those permit conditions.
But
Permit
there is
condition
no-
has to be followed.
so-
So my first preference that first the Pernam fellows will be given first preference, and that is also land losers will be given first preference.
Correct. See, as long as there is a system there and there is no infighting. See, what has happened now, and we are eagerly waiting for Mr. Fateh to come. And so the question that we need to ask is the two things. One is that there has to be a organized system. We will now, in this part of the discussion, get into the whole issue of digital meters, a more organized system, and the app-based system. The point here is that if we have not even begun that whole process to get things organized, then this whole chaos will continue even as Mopa takes off. And the issue is that unlike any other airport, you're touting this, not touting, you're projecting it rightly as one of the best airports in the country. But if the experience of a tourist is is bad. Why tourists? There are so many locals. We will need to travel. We will go out. We will come in. We also need to get home. It's just that most Goan families will have a family car coming and picking them up. But my point is that, why do you need to do that? I mean, if you don't have a driver and you want to come in and even come home, that itself becomes a problem for anybody. So coming to just one quick round before we take a break. Now let us look at the tourist taxis. We have to get into that discussion sometime, even as we wait for Mr. Fatte. 2 or 3 issues that I'd like all of you all to touch upon. One is digital meters. The fight for these digital meters has been going on for such a long time. Several court cases have happened. TTAG also went to court. We got a very good order from the court which made it absolutely mandatory to install digital meters. We had this, stonewalling happening at every stage, even after the court order came. It went to an extent where, firstly, you had some manufacturer of those digital meters and the government saying that the manufacturer is not ready. We do not have the concerned digital meters. And when we found out, when we went back to the original manufacturer, he said, no, we don't have any such problem. So problems are being created by the system to stall the digital meters being implemented. Secondly, there was a whole argument over rates, because the taxi lobby said unless you fix the rates and put it down, the government, I think, also initiated a discussion. But even then, so many months and years passed, there could be no unanimity on the rates. Then the High Court even threatened contempt of court and made it mandatory for them to install the meters. I think, you just correct me if I'm wrong, but many of them have actually installed the meters.
Yes.
But it's like putting a fancy telephone without the telephone line there.
Absolutely.
So you put your meters, but it's not connected or it's not.
Yeah, so all the customer doesn't want to run on the meter. They said you tell the fare. Mostly.
Okay.
At our station, whatever, there is a board there.
Right.
They can see the rates and they are going.
Right.
But if you ask for a welcoming, we will say we put down the meter.
See,
the customer says no, you tell the fare.
See, my point is in your system, it is organized. It's a point to point.
Yeah.
There is a rate chart. People will pay. But when you don't have in the absence of that, I'm talking of the tourist guys. When random rates are charged, ultimately the digital meter was a checks and balances system to get this.
True.
So first let us talk about digital meters, then we'll come to apps. According to you, what has been the experience of this one?
Like Sunil Baba said, there are many times that this, our reputation has preceded the services that we are giving over here.
Right.
The people would rather fix a particular rate than trust that meter. Now, to my knowledge, and again I stand to be corrected here, the rates of per kilometer in Goa are the highest everywhere. Yeah. Now, today when you go to Bombay, I went recently for almost 8.5 hours. I was charged 3,500 rupees, and I have got my friends coming from Bombay traveling 600 meters, paying 3,500 rupees on airfare, and they have to pay 5,000 rupees from airport to Kalangut, which is just about 50 kilometers. Now, this is ridiculous. So today what happens is, we have a meter, and my experience is that if there is a policeman standing in front, he will just put the meter down because he is supposed to go as per the meter, but he has already fixed the rate with the. So this has become a mockery. Until and unless some type of a rate is fixed by the registering authority. Today what is happening is that they are the people who are supposed to monitor. They are supposed to study everything and put it to the government, but it is not happening. It is happening the other way around. Here you have got all the other people, the elected representatives, the coterie that is there, who puts on this particular thing, and they are dancing to the tunes of whoever is suggesting to them. So when it comes to the meter, if there is a sincere use, the price is less, I would rather keep my vehicle at home and take this. But otherwise, it becomes, you please tell me how much you are going to charge, otherwise don't go and this thing. Secondly, where the tourist taxi is concerned, the rate is concerned, here we have a law. This is a law which says that you travel anywhere from the starting point, and wherever you have been dropped, from there to the place where you picked up the taxi, you have to pay him half return fare.
Same as Bombay.
Yeah.
Huh? Same as that.
No, but
but
not for
what
tourist
happens?
taxis.
But
Not
what?
for tourist taxis.
Not for that. But what happens is that the loophole in this is they say you have to pay half return charges. So if he takes him from point A, travels all over Goa, let us say, for example purpose, let's say Mopa they have taken, okay, they have not yet started. If I say Daboli, they are going to rise up over there. If they take up from Mopa, and then finally he is left in Mapsa, he has to go back to Mopa, so he will be paying only for 8 kilometers.
Right.
But if he has done 100 kilometers earlier, they take half return fare of that. So people are cheating on either ways. And when it comes to the, taking assistance from the police, well, it's a utopian solution that comes out from them.
The police are not there.
They are not there means they don't even know about this. So
Right.
the trust of the people in fixing the fare is much more than believing that meter.
All when tourists come in,
Yeah.
when your guests come in, and they want to use the tourist taxis, because obviously you all don't have cars, you will only have to depend on tourist taxis. So what has been the experience? Because how do you manage? Because do the tourists pay for their trips, or is it all pre-booked and you all take care of?
See, when a charter
I'm not
comes-
talking of just point-to-point excursions. Suppose they want to kind of go for a party or go to a club, go for a meal.
This they are on their own basically.
Yes.
So they have to take the services of the taxis.
Right.
Now again, they don't have a fixed rates. So
Correct.
they are.
No, how much has that impacted your business and the experience that you have,
Tourists today are finding Goa very expensive, especially when there is no
including foreign tourists?
foreign tourists. Foreign tourists,
Yeah, yeah.
big
Okay.
time.
Okay.
It's like they know that there are no fixed rates, so they know going to a tourist taxi or outside even the hotel gates of anyway north, south, whatever, they know that they can haggle a rate. So it is who wins. If the client falls for the clients for the taxi.
So what
drivers'
happens when they
price,
say that where is your digital meter and I would like to go by meter?
it doesn't work?
What is the response they get?
They just say it will be very expensive for you, but we will give you a better rate.
Okay,
But if you go to see, that rate is higher than what the meter would charge.
right.
Because they do not, like for instance, we had experiences where the client wanted to go from, say, in the South Goa, from Ramadas or Caravella it's called now, to St. Regis or
Right.
to Holiday Inn,
Right.
They have a fare that takes you there and brings you back. He will not take a fare to drop you there. And
Right.
he'll have fixed it. It will be
Right.
around 3,000 rupees.
Right.
You're
Right.
talking for 8 kilometers,
Right.
3,000 rupees.
Right.
Yes.
From Ramada to
Which is just 8 kilometers from, say, Caravella to Holiday Inn.
which
in
is
Cavalosi.
which is next door.
Next door.
Right.
It's just 8 kilometers,
And how
right?
much do they charge?
3,000.
Okay. Okay.
If I may be wrong, but it will be above 3,000. And that is their rate. Now, the tourist taxis, nothing to do with the yellow black, all right? The tourist taxis have this perception in mind. If a client can stay in a 5-star, he can afford the 5-star rates. But you'll find the difference between a 2-star hotel and a 5-star hotel. Now, why should there be discrepancy in the rates? It should be a fixed rate, right? No. Their logic is what? He can stay in a 5-star, he can afford it. He doesn't have money in a 2-star, so he gets less rate.
But I have heard that reception at the Caravella hotel or some hotel,
Yes.
they charge the customers.
Yeah, they
I
have a
heard that
concierge.
from
Right,
many taxi
right.
drivers. I heard that they are saying, hello, just come to the reception.
The
There's a guest
Right,
waiting,
right.
and they take the cash from you.
Some
and let
hotels
him-
do have a taxi counter
Yeah.
in the reception.
Yeah.
In the
They
reception.
didn't blackmail into having
But
Yeah.
but
Yeah,
the rates
I'll
are
get into this whole issue of taxi stands and forcibly taking passengers in my next round. I'm not taking a break, so I'm just going with the flow. Lyndon, tell me, the thing is, we are on the digital issue. Every country in this world will have some system of some meter system or some digital system.
Yes.
Okay. Now this digital thing, you all have been kind of fighting and speaking for a very very long time. It's an old vintage issue. Now the thing is, even now, even after the court has stepped in, if it doesn't happen, then what are we left with?
That's a very good question. I think they should just allow a free for all. But if they allow a free for all and allow app-based taxis and everyone to come, the sad part is it gets violent. And you know, if it gets violent, there have been incidents in the past, and we are cutting the golden goose.
Right.
Our hotels have become much more expensive because of the influx of Indian domestic tourists and weddings.
Yes.
So international hotels. I've just come back yesterday from Thailand. If you look at the proportion of Europeans over there to Goa, we are minuscule.
Yeah.
We are just spoiling it at multiple levels because we don't follow a system. And if we don't start MOPA with a good, nice reputation of organized travel, and we have a mess like Dabolim again, it's just going to be a very, very bad imaging.
we will kill the destination.
Correct. So one sensitive question. Again, you may not be directly involved, but you have to address it to you and in this room. And currently, I can't ask this. See, what's happening here is that every time a tourist comes and he wants to leave a hotel and go for a meal or go to the beach or visit somewhere, we're literally in a situation where the tourist is actually scared to either ask his friend to pick him up and take him, or hire any taxi he wants from outside. Suppose he's in Kalangut, if he has a friend in Panjim, he's scared to hire the Panjim guy to come and pick him up. Also, we must understand there are so many foreign tourists, and all of you will bear me out. They have very, very close family associations with many taxi drivers. So my point is, somebody coming in, he will know, say, Sunil's family or some family, and and he'll say we will approach that family, and because they have literally grown up with them, they know their children, they know their and if they do that, and they are scared to do that, because the moment you hire a taxi from outside your the stand outside your hotel, there is a lot of hostility, and including violence. People have been taken off buses, cars have been stopped, and passengers have been pulled out. There has been actual violence that has happened. And recently I heard of a hotel in North Goa, where there was a wedding party from Bombay. They came in their own Innovas from Maharashtra. As soon as they reached the hotel, the local taxi stand, they warned the hotel owner and the wedding party that if any of these Innovas leave the basement parking where you parked for the wedding, we'll smash all the cars. So they had to come and park the Innovas there, but for the entire wedding, they had to actually were forced to take those cars while their own Innovas waiting. So again, you will say that this is not part of your domain, and you're not going to answer. But you are also a Goan who is seeing this closely. You cannot be removed completely from this whole situation. Okay. See, for instance, if there's an issue happening with a radio station or a television channel in, say, Bangalore, and if somebody asks me a question about what you feel about it, I cannot say that is their business. It is part of my universe.
But to my extent, sir, what happens here at Karmali, last time the Ultratech cement,
Yes.
they have I think 10 or something buses.
Yes.
We never told them not to take. You take.
Yeah.
After they came, they dropped, they went. We don't force the customer that you have to go by my taxi.
Right.
There are an airport also. We also go for pickup. If my somebody calls me, I go to pick up there. Nobody asks you there.
Correct.
The many tourist taxis are also coming there. They just call there.
Right.
They are coming. They are taking the guests.
Right.
But what happens? The hotels in the north or south, they have got only business there only.
Right.
There is no business, no.
Right.
That's why they are doing so. I think so.
Okay, Lyndon, what's your response to this? Yeah, then we'll go this
Give
way.
me, give me an example of, there have been so many incidents of drivers beating up tourists and videos going viral and everything, and taxi numbers being shown. How many of those people have lost their permits?
Not even
Exactly.
Not even one.
I was in Kerala in 1996 when charters was starting, and I used to live between Goa and Kerala. And the Kerala taxi drivers, and Kerala has serious unions.
Yeah.
Okay,
Many
solid
of them.
level,
Yes.
solid unions. They decided to stop all the tourist coaches, and I was there. I was heading Banyan Tours, which was the biggest operator at that time. The director of tourism, Mr. Ashish Kumar Singh, called us all for a meeting, which was Sita Travels. Spoke to Chief Secretary. He said, deal with anyone with a stern hand. A message went to the union. If any vehicle is stoned or stopped or any of these threats occur, we will take a serious note of it. And actually, there were 3 incidents. They arrested the 3 drivers. They withdrew their licenses. They won. And that was the end of taxi problems in Kerala. It's now 96 to 2022.
Right.
But here we've had so many incidents whose permit has been withdrawn.
Right.
No one.
Right.
You've just given an example about a wedding
hotel.
party,
Yes,
right?
yes.
We had the Marmagua problem over there. A clear-cut violation where the people were not allowed to choose their own transportation.
Right.
And it says, I don't recollect now, but as per the Motor Vehicle Act, this is a violation subsection, this. Why are those permit points made if they are not going to be implemented?
Followed by them.
It is
Yeah.
just like putting a no parking sign,
Correct.
and a
And
car
allowing
is
cars to
parked
park.
and nobody is taking action on that. So why did you put that traffic sign?
Right. Okay. Coming back to you before we take a short break. Now the thing is, again, you know, these kind of violent incidents, muscle flexing and so on and so forth is going on. Can we ask, where do they get this power from? And where do they get this whole audacity to break the law with impunity, with no fear of any backlash?
A good question is where, because I faced it when I was doing
Yes.
repping down in South
Right.
at the Leelas.
Right.
And I was confronted by the taxi drivers, and because I used to go to meet my clients. And they said, "You're not allowed to come here." And I said, "Who told you?" "The local MLA." I said, "Get him here, I'll ask him." And they said, "No." So for me, each area tries to use their political powers. Whether the MLA does tell them or not, they think that, you know, by they using these names, the organization or we travel people will get afraid. We've had a lot of issues with them and the police, where we've called in the police, we've had meetings with them, but till now there is no solution come to it. I would like to ask, these taxis, white taxis, of course, nothing with the yellow black, they keep saying that we, the agents who bring the business to the state, eat into their business. If that is the case, from 2000 till 2022, now 12 years down the line, how many taxis have come on the road? If we are eating your business and you don't have business, how are you multiplying? You all should decrease, right? Because you all don't have the business.
Right.
You all are on the road, you all got no money, you all don't got incomes, but yet you all are coming with cars. And each driver will own at least 3 to 4 cars. Not small, but high-end cars. Now, if he doesn't have business, how is he multiplying? His own business.
Right.
Forget the other
Right,
people getting
right,
it.
Right. Okay. On this note, we take a short break as we wait for the representative of the Tourist Taxi Association to come. We've stretched way beyond our normal break time, but just as well, we'll take a short water break and come back with lots more to discuss. Thank you.
Tell me this.